Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the panelists speakers together with me today. I'm Terence NG, the head of sales for Lenovo Global Software. Today, we're excited to talk about how AI agents will change human interfaces beyond phones. Now, over the past 24 months, AI has changed and evolved tremendously from models to co-pilots to now what's called a fashion AI agents that connect autonomously. The real shift is not just technology, everyone. It's about control. Who owns the interface? Who owns the customers? And ultimately, who owns the value? Today, we are very proud to have 4 panelist speakers with us in different variety of fields and experiences. Let me quickly introduce them. On my left, Will, CEO of Even Realities, a leader that's rethinking the future of interfaces, and the very cool glasses as he's wearing right now that we talked about just now. Hope everyone can go down to his booth and look at it. We have Jay, founder and general partner at Leonis Capital, who's investing in the next generation of AI-driven companies. And partner at IVC, who's backing and scaling high-growth ventures globally. And last but not least, right, we have Shawn, co-founder of Hyperbond Studio and also GP at Thrive, right? He looks at Southeast Asia growth and early-stage execution. Let me start with something quickly and more immediate because the change is really happening fast with AI agent. So maybe in 20 seconds, I'll pass to the panelists. What is the single biggest shift AI agents will drive in the next 3 years? Maybe we'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah, we believe it's definitely the hardware interface. Like I heard the hosts also talking about this. The last era is about interacting with your GUI, with your apps on your smartphone. Now all experiences move into a more agentic flow. And for that, I think smart glasses can become, and also alongside with a lot of wearable products, will become more of a terminal compared to smartphone.
Thank you. Jay?
Good meeting, everyone. I'm Jay. We're a VC firm based in San Francisco. We do a lot of publications on AI agent and AI model research. So this year, a lot of things has happened. Maybe to give a quick context, there is OpenClaw launch that was early this year. And also, there is a Claude Code leak that just happened a few weeks ago. So both of these events actually have huge implications of what AI agent will do 2 years and 3 years from now. And what that means is that AI agent is not just replacing software, not replacing applications as we know it. I think our prediction is that over the next 3 to 5 years, AI agent is actually going to replace human judgment and human decision. And it won't be surprising 5 years, 10 years from now, we'll actually see a lot of people and human beings working for these very smart AI agents, what we call system of actions. And this is the total investment thesis within our firm. Happy to elaborate a little bit more later, but that's our viewpoint.
Fascinating. Anne, any view on that?
Yeah, I think that like during the 3 weeks ago during the GTC in San Francisco, that Jensen Huang has been emphasizing that like from the GPU like hardware's perspective, they have seen more and more like token being burnt. And he's actually very excited. That's why like I think the NVIDIA has been placing like even more like order placement at TSMC, which I'm originally from Taiwan. So it's pretty prosperous for Taiwan economy for the whole AI supply chain at this moment. So like due to the AI agents like boomings and also AI applications that's being used. So I think that's from seeing the supply chain like perspective, it has been like seeing quite a decent like booming in the Taiwan tech industries. And I think that like during the next 3 years, there will be just like more builders. Either like if you don't know how to do codings, I know like so many people trying to pick up like the skill sets. You can be even without like any of the developer backgrounds and also the coding skill sets. You can actually build your own like AI agents, and like it will be probably happening in everyone's like daily life. It will become like assistant like tools. That's I think inevitable in the next coming like 3 years.
Thank you, Anne. Shawn?
I think we will move from an app-based economy to an intent-based economy. You will move, what that means is basically users will move from doing what the app allows them to do to doing actually what they want to do, right? And we see that, the collapse in SaaS company valuations is also somewhat reflective of this trend. And we also see kind of agentic features creeping into everyday things like browsers as well. And I think that is one major change that we will see going forward. Yeah.
So different views here, right? So maybe in one sense, let me ask a question. Will AI agent replace apps, jobs, or decision making from each one of you?
Yeah, I'll just talk about apps. I think it will be similar to what we see from the desktop era moving to mobile era, right? Like a lot of the application is happening on phone now, and then we have the word apps. Before that, it was like software programs on desktop and also websites. So until today, I wouldn't say app has completely replaced websites. There's still usage for websites, but obviously apps is becoming more mainstream. So I think, like we talk about, a more agentic experience will become more mainstream than the traditional graphic user interface. And also there was a notion in the Valley and also around the world now talking about how command line interface is going to be maybe the future because it's easier for agent model to understand. And we already see that happening with a lot of our developers on the smart glasses. Like the host was saying, like we launched our sort of like app store or ecosystem store marketplace called Even Hub 4 or 5 days ago. And right now, the speed of people building applications or agents on these glasses are like way faster than you used to develop apps because it's much easier. It's agentic building. You don't need to think about a complex graphic user interface. It's more about how to communicate naturally and get the job done. So a lot of stuff can be done here much quicker, much faster, much easier. So I think that's going to be the trend. Yeah.
Definitely, we'll take care of it.
I think it's important to set some historic context here, because if you think about industry revolution back in the 1960s, 1950s, even earlier, what valued the most is actually what's scarce in human society. So in Leoness Capital, we have this framework called the scarcity flip. I think most people don't understand how powerful this technology shift is up and coming. Because during Industrial Revolution, what's scarce is actually not land, but is the capital and human labor that was put into the production. And then when it comes to the information, the internet age, what becomes scarce is actually not energy, it's the human attention and also data. Now this wave of AI agent that's up and coming is actually not the human intelligence and human data anymore. It will become human judgment and the taste. And that's why it's very powerful. I don't think people understand it fully to the greater extent. But what happened is that when I say the AI agent will replace human judgment, it has profound implications for how society will work. For example, like in Silicon Valley, people talk about this one-man unicorn, right? People can use AI to build companies much leaner and leaner, can generate huge amount of revenue, just letting AI automate marketing, automate a lot of business functions. We think going forward, these AI will play a middle manager role within modern companies. And it's already happening. Like in Silicon Valley startups, like people are already reporting to AI in a lot of ways. Like we know one company, they adopt AI to the extreme, which they have like 10 engineers, and each day these engineers wake up, they report to AI, and AI report to the CEO, and that's about it. That's as efficient it can get. So now you can fast forward a year or 2 years from now, like what will be the extreme version of that, right? So I think that's actually where the direction is going, and it could be terrifying and exciting to see how.
So you're saying we have AI bosses?
We will have AI bosses.
And AI makes decision for us.
That's likely to happen, and we probably want to get ready for that.
Interesting. We have apps, we have decision making. Maybe Ann and Shawn, what do you guys think? Yeah.
I think it really depends on the time horizon, but in the really near future, I think like my personal view, it's like it won't be replacing humans. It will become like assistant tools because I think most of you down there, or most of us, will probably have been trying out these like AI apps, such as like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. But a lot of times, like first is like a lot of these like data input answers, it could be wrong, and you need to be like correcting these like data. So I think that in the near term, like there's still needed a lot of like data trainings, data improvements, and like AI could not probably be 100% right. And like for very probably like top decisions, like you still probably still wouldn't be depending on AI. I think that you have been seeing a lot of like, or hearing a lot of like potential like job layoff, like especially starting from the US. But after seeing, because I have like friends also working in the like as developers in those like big tech companies, they especially from the senior like engineer, they've been mentioning that since like there's no hiring for the junior engineers, it actually makes the daily jobs like for the senior engineer more complicated and more tasks for them, because they need to correct AI all the time. So these like tech companies, they started reopening the position for the junior engineering levels, because like think about if like one day if these like senior engineer they retire, and then there will be no replacements who step up to become the senior engineer who correct AI, because AI at the end of the day is still like trend, and also like data input are still on the humans, and data could not be corrected. I think now you do a lot of like data labelings, but it's still like inevitably that like AI at the near time, probably into the next like 2 to 3 years, it still cannot be like, we firmly say that AI could be 100% correct. So I think that it could be a great assistant tools, but if like 100% decision, like depending on AI into the next like 3 years, I think that it probably still require like a longer like time horizon for the data trainings.
So in the near future, it's coexisting between human beings and AI agents. That's what you're
I
saying.
think that it will be like co-working together. They will become the assistant, but they will not be the replacements.
Sean,
So I think agree, right, with Anne. And I think I think AI will replace apps. AI will replace jobs, but it will be some time before AI can replace decision making, right? And I think this is in particular for high stakes decisions, right, that have asymmetric downsides, right? Because if you look at the cost of being wrong, if the cost of being wrong is small, by all means go and use AI, right? If the cost of being wrong is like having a disaster, right, disastrous outcomes, then naturally you can't really use AI for that, right? You have AI that is probabilistic. It doesn't understand consequence, but humans have to bear that consequence, right? So until AI can take responsibility for such decisions, which it can't now, and what I mean by take responsibility, I mean sign off, right? Until that day, right? I think high stakes decisions will always be human. Yeah.
it's a good point that you raised about responsible AI. I think that's a key part of using AI. Now let me shift right into an interface with Will and so on. As at Event Realities, you guys are reshaping how the world is looking at AI and the world. So are you just seeing, are we moving beyond screens? Are we just reinventing them with what you're doing?
Yeah, so with the smart glasses, obviously we're creating a new form of display. Like right now, as we're speaking, I actually have my notes right in front of me, floating right there, right, to help me.
Quite cool technology, guys.
Yeah, to help me become smarter. But we definitely don't think that's just another screen. We feel like when you have display technology that's so private, so discrete, and so real time, it becomes another different format of interacting with information, right? Because originally, all the consumer electronics devices we use have a screen building for you to look at. And when you look at that screen, it naturally takes off your views from your surrounding to the screen. So that's also why a lot of people are really cautious about their screen time, because the more hours you spend on your phone, the less hour you're spending with your surrounding, with your family, with real people around you, right? So we think smart glasses together with AI is a more natural, seamless, undisturbed, and proactive way of bringing information into your real life. while still have you connected.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to add to Will's point, we're using his AI agent on my iPad right now.
Yeah.
We put in the forum discussion down here.
Right.
He's teaching us as an agent what we are discussing and talking about right now. But maybe, Shawn, I'll switch to you, right? Do you agree and you see this trend? Are people ready for this shift with hardware and AI agents on the app as well right now?
I think mentally people are. I think even if you look at Asia, right? Asia or even Southeast Asia, where I'm from, where, you know, I think large portion is a developing market. People are already kind of used to that shift. I think mentally it's not a large leap to go from navigating menus in a super app to telling the AI what you want. But at the same time, you know, I think there are a few things, right? So first of all, you know, I think the younger generation also has or at least what we've seen in Hyperbond Studio is that, you know, I think younger generation is a bit more open to communicating with AI. They're also a bit more open to having relationships with AI. And I think on top of that, we also have we also have a generation that is more open to operating on a different interface or to learning kind of new things, right? We have seen that with OpenClaw. We will see that with the glasses and with, you know, a whole bunch of other things as well. Now, one thing that we need to note is that, you know, if we talk about readiness to shift to a new platform, it's not just about mental readiness, right? It's also about infrastructure. So, as with all developing markets, I think the cost of adoption needs to be looked at, right? So if you have a solution and you can price it scalably and price it at a price point where, you know, I think everyone can adopt it meaningfully, then, you know, we will reach that scale that is required for, like, you know, kind of mass adoption. So I think that's in terms of readiness, right? So yeah.
That's what you guys are exactly doing at Hyperbond with the AI agent education learning
exactly.
platform. Now, let me shift a bit to the capital markets, right? Because that's where the investment and the money is, right? And I'll switch to Jay and Ann as well. What are you actually investing today? Are you investing in agents? Are you investing in infrastructure that people talk about? Or are you investing in vertical AIs?
Yeah, I think maybe just touch on the smart glasses comment, right? There is two ways AI is going. One is AI is becoming more ubiquitous, and that means that how AI present in our physical life. Companies are training world models, which is helping AI model to understand the real world, the physics, how it works, and that will lay the foundation for at-home robot that's up and coming. And the other part of AI's implication is that as this agent become more and better at the long task execution and reasoning, actually it presents a new task for humans in the future generation. What does that mean? It means that if you have kids right now, like, you actually want the kids to have some level of critical thinking to challenge AI. Because we were born in a world that we know software is deterministic, right? So 1 + 1 = 2. That's how we understand software. So anything software output, we treat it as the truth. But AI is not like that. Especially LLM-based AI is not like that. That's what agent is, right? Mostly it's based on probability of output. And a lot of time, to you guys' point, it can be incorrect. So therefore, for humans, we need to challenge AI to double check to make sure the logic is correct. And I don't think most people, I mean, at least in my generation, is not well equipped to that. So in this shift, like talking about how human interface with AI, I think everybody need to elevate up one level up in terms of challenging AI, in terms of what task and what reasoning and decision it can do. If you can do it well, AI can be a really powerful weapon for you. Like, you know, Steve Jobs famously said that software or PC is kind of like the bicycle of the mind, right? AI in this world is almost like car. Like if you know how to drive a car, you can go places a lot faster. That's how you should think about AI. So it actually takes skills to actually use AI effectively. Now, to that point, as a VC fund, how we think about the investment opportunity for the next 3 to 5 years is actually we think agent will have its own identity, agent will have its own permissioning layer, security layer, and also payment layer as well. So everything that we have done for humans interface over the past 20 years, the browser interface, the credit card payment, that need to be reinvented for agent. So we have backed companies, few engineers from Stripe, they are doing A2A startups, agent-to-agent payment guardrail. And I think there is a lot of companies in Silicon Valley that are building email service for agent directly. They are funded by tier 1 VC firm as well. And I think that's going to be an interesting opportunity to observe over the next 3 years.
It's really interesting. But for Ann, when do you see what signal from of AI company or startup, right, that this is a real business? It's not just hype, right, that you would like to invest in that IVC? Obviously, IVC has a very huge AUM under your portfolio, yeah.
Yeah, we have a Web2 funding and also Web3 arm. So Web2 arm is about, globally it's about 4 to 5 billions. And Web3 is about like 85 millions. So both sides, we have been looking into like the AI infrastructure for quite some time. We invested into a data center companies that I think headline deployed about like 5 millions. And IVC, we invested about like 2 millions about 4 to 5 years ago. So they plan to have, I think it's like 500 megawatts of like the compute powers or data center that's provided for AI computes. And we also invested from the IVC side, we also invested into the compute power marketplace. That's for people who have like idle compute power that's generated by your device, that you could be putting your like a GPU into the marketplace for the people who need the compute power, who could be like buying or bidding the compute power from the marketplace. So we've been looking into like quite different kind of like a vertical in the AI space. We also try out like the AI tools. But one of the fundamental issue for the AI space, it's very hard for AI company generating revenues. Even you look into like Anthropic or OpenAI, these companies, where do their money come from? It's actually still mostly it's from the fundraising from investors, or they are planning for IPO and like probably getting the funding from the public market instead of the real sustainable like revenue generated from their core business model. So for them to be like keeping sustainable like business model, I think this is still a key issue where the money will be coming from most of the AI companies. So we did like toolings investments before. Even for like B2B, it's very, very hard to generate revenue for most of the AI companies. So so that's why we decided down that like from seeing the performance for the past like few years, we feel like infrastructure, especially for data center or like compute powers, hardware is still the key. At least like there will be demands for such like hardware device to deploy and coming for the sustainable like revenue.
Just for the record, I disagree. So one, we're a small investor in Anthropic. And then the other thing is that we do invest in a lot of B2B companies in the US. And I think a lot of things that we're seeing, at least maybe different vantage point, is that we're seeing a lot of token consumptions are putting to real ROI use cases. So in the US, many of you probably know there is a great SaaS repricing that happened about 2 months ago, right? Adobe, Autodesk, and Salesforce of the world. Their multiple got compressed, and because they're afraid of AI. And I think what's happening right now is that there is a very clear shift of software companies going from per seat basis, where you pay $50 a month, to actually usage basis, token base. And then what's up and coming is that once AI become more reliable, it's gonna actually going to outcome-based pricing, which is more directly head-to-head with human headcount of a comparison. Now, OpenAI and Anthropic, most of their revenue actually come from twofold. One is from the subscription, which is where you pay $20 a month for OpenAI or Anthropic. That's from consumer and the prosumer side. And people use it for personal use cases and for entertainment and whatnot. And then the other part is actually mostly on the API calls and token consumption. For one, we use OpenClaw ourselves as our firm. And we actually paid about roughly $1,000 a month for the use of OpenClaw. Does it make sense? It depends on how you evaluate it. it saved a lot of our time. So $1,000 a month is actually not a bad deal per se. But if we think about these AI companies, one, the speed of revenue growth is we just never seen anything like that before. And two, you are correct that there is a lot of capital intensity to this AI business that nobody talked about before. They will continue to feed a lot of capital to generate real revenue. And that's one of the reasons why Anthropic and OpenAI are rushing to IPO this year, because whoever go to the public market as a first company, they can probably absorb most of the capital. Anyway, so slight disagreement.
But it's a great view, right? Because we have, even from the capital market, infrastructure is a big 300 billion business by 2030. Agents and as well as interface are also changing landscape as well. But maybe, Shawn, let me ask something more provocative, right? Do you think the bigger boys like Google and Microsoft and NVIDIA will dominate the market? Can smaller AI companies succeed in this space as we hit in the last 4 minutes of the conversation today?
I think it depends on what you mean by dominate, right? So I mean, clearly the big boys or the big tech guys have a lot of capital, and they have been spraying this capital all over, right? We have heard of, you know, we have heard of companies being acquired left, right, and center at massive valuations. Now, I'm not going to comment on whether they are overvalued or undervalued, right? But I think this is the trend, right? And I think this will only increase, right? The people with capital, people with deep pockets will always try to diversify. They will always try to capitalize on new opportunities wherever they can. Now, whether or not that means dominating, I think it's also open to debate, right? Now, the thing is, even for larger companies, they also face issues with actually being able to do everything all at the same time, right? Because they also need a focus strategy. They also need to do what they're best at, right? And I think that's where the space for newcomers or new startups to come in and play this game exists, right? So I think, you know, it's not so much that they will take the entire pie, but there is still a space for smaller guys to come in as well. Yeah.
Let me go back to Will, because exactly you're competing against Google with what you're doing.
Sure.
What do you feel?
Yeah, I think if we're talking about going to head-to-head with the big tech company on hardware, I actually came from that background. I used to work at Apple on Apple Watch, and the reason I started my company is also because I see in those bigger companies there are constraints, all right? Especially at the early stage of exploring a category where you need a small group of really focused people who are actually there to actually try out the hardest possibility. That's also why OpenAI and Anthropic are successful in the first place, not like just Google, Amazon, or just the big tech. So I think in hardware it's the same. That smaller company at the early stage of this category will have the chance. But then also, I think we were talking about hardware versus AI, right? Like obviously AI is enabling a lot of use cases on smart glasses, and people will think, okay, what's your relationship with all those AI companies? Who's going to be dominating? So to us, I think it's more of a healthy enabling relationship instead of trying to say, right, AI better or hardware better, right? It's kind of like in the mobile age, you have Google and Apple working closely together to bring out all the synergy from the platform so that people can actually be able to do a lot of stuff with their mobile device. I think it's going to be the same thing for smart glasses, where we will be enabling a lot of AI companies. Vice versa, they will be enabling us, and we'll together bring a really seamless experience to our users.
And I love your app. It's actually analyzing what you're seeing here on my screen right now. So that's agent at work.
Right.
Last question maybe to to Jay and Ann. What should the audience do differently in the next 12 months, right? We have 1 minute to go.
Audience, I think that at least like you should be trying out all the AI tools, because if you don't start today, it's not likely that AI will be replacing everyone's job, but at least like trying out AI tools. It's just like everyone knows like how to use internet or how to use keyboard or how to use smartphone. It's just like the trend in the world that this is something that will keep going. So everyone just need to be equipped with the new skill sets, which is at least like using AI.
Keep using it. Yeah, Jay?
Yeah, I would echo the same. Try OpenClaw. Not the open source version, but find the most secure version to try it out. You'll be amazed by it. And then secondly, if you start some interesting AI companies, if you're a founder, reach out to me, and we're happy to chat.
Thank you, panelists. The shift is coming, guys, right? AI agents, right? Beyond the apps interface, as well as coming out to outcomes, as what with the panelists has discussed here. The shift is no different. The winners will be those who control the distribution, the trust with responsible AI, and executing really well with capital funding. I thank the audience and the panelists today for this engaging conversation. We look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. One more round of applause for our panel, please. Thank you.